Feet parallel, knees slightly bent, start bouncing. Okay, my resting heart rate is around 50. I just took a polar fit test this morning, 49. That's elite for my age group. My HRV this morning was 67. Now, those numbers mean, for example, I've got good bone density and I've got good muscles. Also, it means I've got a really good cardiovascular system. But you know what? I don't do really much traditional, I don't do aerobics. I don't do HIIT. And by the way, I'm not suggesting if you like doing those stuff, please do them. If you find something you love, that is the key. Because, and here's the thing, consistency is probably the most important thing. But I digress. So my health is really good. In 2015, I weighed 250 pounds and I looked like the Pillsbury Puff Boy. So you can take a slow and steady pace and it's going to work for you. Now, it's not going to work like in a week or a month. That's the thing. It's not something you do and then you're done. It's a way, it's a Tao. So you organize your life so that it just happens. So for example, when I go to work in the morning, I'm going to walk downstairs to my living room. I'm going to sit at my desk, which is a recumbent bicycle seat, and then I have an elevated computer. So I ride on a bicycle desk all day long. I get up and down throughout the day because my dogs are in and out. I could let that irritate me, or I could realize, hey, guess what? I'm moving my body. So you can find ways to structure your life, and a little bit every so often, over time, you start to get this amazing supporting structure. And this, by the way, is something you can do right now that is going to enhance all of that. It's amazing what it does. It works with every system in your body. Helps your joints, helps your muscles, helps your lymphatic system, your cardiovascular system, helps your brain. And when I say every system, it helps every system. This is it. It really is simple. This all you can do. Now, I'm not suggesting you only do this. I do a lot of stuff. I do Tai Chi and all that kind of stuff. But if you want something to get you going, to get you from very little to something that's really going to be profound, if you can do it for a couple weeks, a couple months, this is it. That's it. And if you can't stand, sit. Here's the thing. I've learned that better doesn't mean good. Better means less than what you just had. So if you are thinking in terms of it's better than what I had, relative, instead of it's got to be that good to be better, you're going to find yourself a lot happier. And you'll allow yourself to do simple things like this. When I started doing this stuff 12 years ago, I was just bouncing. This is a profound exercise, and it gives me the same impact as sitting meditation and mantra meditation. Except that when I'm done after 5 minutes, I'm all tingly. So seriously, just give this a try. I'm right now working on an experiment measuring heart rate variability. And I'm trying to work on a theory. I just learned about astrocytic cells, and these are things that cover your neurons. And this kind of practice helps them regenerate, literally giving you more biomechanical energy or resilience. And I accidented upon doing this. I do it every so often, but I hadn't been doing it consistently. And then someone asked me about some neck exercise. And so I just happened to incorporate this and then some Tai Chi. And sort of have been, but I started doing this daily for a couple weeks. And all of a sudden, my brain's been on fire and just things have started to click. So this is it. This is a really good thing. If you just add this, it'll be a multiplier on everything else you do. Now, I'm going to show you something. You can play with this. Like, for example, I'm sort of holding my arms. I'm going to let my arms flop. Changes a little bit, but also I'm getting a lot more activity in my rotator cuffs. Play with it. Turn side to side. This rhythmic movement is actually giving interruption into vital systems. And from control theory, you'll learn that that'll actually help them reset sometimes. So when we talk about lowering your energy, in a literal sense, this activity moves mitochondrial DNA back down to a lower state of excitation. Same thing with your nervous system. So by the time I'm done, I'll be tingling and I will be in a lower state of work. Now, that's not exactly true. This activity is homeostatic. So if I'm elevated, it'll bring me to a nice baseline. If I'm tired, it'll wake me up. So I'm tingly all over. I was a little bit tired, but now I'm going to stop, go measure my HRV, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you what my HRV was. And it was really low because I've been running ragged. So I'll be back. All right, well, back to shaking a little bit while I talk about the results. My heart rate variability dropped. It did not increase. One data point does not necessarily mean anything, but I will be looking for trends. I'm planning to go be taking data for about 2 weeks to see what the results are. However, subjectively, before and after, my mind was calmer, so I was quite more able to concentrate than the first time. So mine wasn't racing. Also, I was laying down in savasana to take the readings, and it was much more relaxed and comfortable. My whole body was relaxed because this is actually releasing tension. This is going to do micro shifts across the whole body. And so, as an activity, it really loosens the body, moistens the joints, and so on. So, I was hoping to have some consistent patterns on the heart rate variability increasing. But I will say this, my pulse was 104 during the heart rate variability reading. And just to say that this activity for 5 minutes actually does get me going really well. So, I mean, it's not technically aerobic, but it's a low activity. So I guess maybe the biggest change is better oxygenation of my blood and body has led to more efficient brain stuff. But side effect, my brain's been on fire so much that it's actually harder to calm down. So I got nothing else to say on that. I'm going to do stretching tonight. I'm just going to do one stretch. I'm going to go ahead and work on pancake. Now, actually, I'm going to show the difference between pancake and side splits, but I'm going to do pancake. I'm going to use a prop here I'm going to use a prop for both of them. So in the 90s, I could do the full splits, I thought, with my chest on the ground. I never did the full splits. I was doing pancake. So I'm going to show you pancake first and go wider. Okay, I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna sit on something, I'm gonna use pillows, and I'm gonna go wider. And by the time I'm done, I'm gonna get to about here after about 10 minutes, right? It's great, it's really good for the groin, and you can also get the adductors and the abductors. So this is a really good stretch. And while it doesn't directly work on the side splits, I gotta imagine, just anything you work on the hips are so tight, and there's a lot of reason why your body wants to protect them, because since that's where your reproductive organs are, from a evolutionary standpoint, there's a genetic predisposition to protect yourself. So anyway, okay, now side splits. I'm just gonna do this. I'm not gonna go into this very far. Now there's two variations. The way I've got my feet right now, where they're pointing forward and then heels up, they're different. This gets much deeper right here. All right, heels down, gets you closer to the hip flexors, but in both cases, it's going to hit the groin. Now, the last time I did this, I said I wasn't going to do it, and then I started doing it, and it felt pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and sit here for just a few minutes. And I got to be careful. When I have my feet like this, I have to be really careful of my left knee. Okay, so I'm not liking that, so I'm going to adjust. There we go. Now here, I'm not actually flat. My tailbone's back a little bit, so I'm going to try to flatten my tailbone down. Yeah. And now I've got my adductors, not abductors, screaming bloody murder. And now I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I hadn't planned on doing this, but I'm here. So now let's talk about Yeah, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, PNF. But I'm gonna come out just a touch. So I'm gonna do a version that is not too aggressive. I'm gonna squeeze a little bit. Then I'm gonna relax. Gonna squeeze a little bit, bringing my heels together, and then I'm gonna relax. And now I'm just gonna sit here for a while. Now, my hip flexors are screaming a little bit, and that's good. A little bit of pressure is good. No, that's too much. You can tell right about there. And I'm gonna sit here for just a second. My knee is kind of freaking out on the right now, but that's fine. So I'm in a good deal of discomfort, and I'm breathing in. So I'm telling my autonomic system, I want this to be a new normal. It's okay. We're not hurting ourselves. If I go too far, it will stop me, and I've gone too far. Actually, I've gone too far. I'm getting a bit of redux, a bit of a reflex response. Okay, so I'm going to come out of this now because I wasn't planning on doing this. But that's side splits. And I could go on there and go deeper, maybe, but I'm not in the mood, honestly. And I mean that in a literal sense. Oh man, just that little bit was pretty intense, and I'm not in the mood for that much discomfort. So and really, so there's stretching and then there's deep flexibility. I'm working on deep flexibility. And if I'm being honest, a lot of times hurts the wrong, well, okay, I can actually hurt, but you don't want it to hurt. But a lot of times, my challenge in the beginning was after I got excitement with the excitement of, oh my gosh, this stuff actually works. I got bored waiting for the pose to finish so I could go to the next one. So that's if you've ever meditated, you understand that. This is the same thing. Okay, I'm already, hang on. Yeah, that's a good place to start right there. But the next thing is, at some point, you're gonna find walls. Yeah, you're gonna come up against walls, and it's gonna take a while to get through them. And pushing through, oftentimes it can be physical. A lot of times it's mental. And I'm not meaning that in a metaphorical sense. I'm meaning it in some kind of biomechanical, neural firing pattern, actual sense. As an example, I got stuck learning a form called Leho Bafa. I was about 70% through memorizing the shape of the form, not the true application, but the shape. And I'd been stuck for months. And I happened to start sitting meditation. And 2 weeks in, on an airplane flight, I had a couple of hours. I meditated for about an hour. And then I opened up my laptop. I watched the videos of the form that I actually had recorded and had on my computer for probably 18 months. And while I was on that flight, I memorized the last 70% of the form. I visualized it. I went through it with hand motions on the flight. And then I got to my hotel and I did the form for the, oh my gosh. It was a really exciting time because it was a major breakthrough, as you can hear in my voice. And so these kind of breakthroughs, I don't I don't care about them. I mean, they're great and wonderful, but honestly, a little bit every day adds up. But I'm really digressing. So sometimes discomfort's a little too much. And that can be mental and can be physical. In my case, I think it was just stress and mental fatigue. And the meditation has been measured to help reduce damage from PTSD. They've looked at when you're put into a high stress situation, a before and after. So there have been experiments and studies done where they'll do some kind of assessment of attention. And give me a second. Just give me that the test is it's based on a reasonable thing that's at least measurable or somehow correlated with attention. But they measure attention, Someone goes into a combat, for example, or training or something like that, something intense, they measure it afterwards, notice a drop. That is an attention span, mental fortitude, all those kind of things. 10 minutes a day, sitting meditation, 28 days, right back. It actually can repair you. So I suspect what's going on is anytime you're doing something that's going to emphasize parasympathetic activity, you are encouraging the astrocytes in your brain to move from fight and flight repair, toxic, which, no, I'm overstating it. It's a necessary function, but if you're in there too long, no es bueno, to A2 mode, phenotype A2. And what that does is it actually is able to store, I forget the chemical name, but ultimately the end result is effectively you're charging a battery in an actual sense. An actual, as in it's a battery. It's the equivalent of a battery in a system that works on biomechanical and electrical energy. Oh, that's a little too much. Here we go. I'm distracting myself by talking. So to quickly summarize, a mentor of mine, someone who published a number of books and was big in my field years ago, Jerry Weinberg, had a saying: nothing plus nothing plus nothing eventually equals something. And I've recently reinterpreted that, because if you consider how I define the word better as less sucky, right? Not necessarily good, less sucky. So if is it an improvement? Great, let's do that. Better is a little bit, not necessarily a big a bit. So I've just lost my train of thought. So if you want to know what that story was, if anyone's listening, ask me. I'll listen to it and figure it out. Okay. Now I'm going to come back out just a touch. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate a different form of PNF. It's the same thing. So the first form of PNF with a light squeeze and release. That's just the natural, the muscle relaxes. And in fact, if you've ever experienced trigger point massage, if you if you get a knot and hold it, eventually the muscle's like over signal and it releases. So that's kind of on that end. But there's another response, and it's in the fibers of, I'm not sure if it's the muscle fibers or the ligaments. I think it's the muscles. And if they think you're about to do some damage, the muscle goes, let's go. And you can use that autonomic response to trick your body. Now, be careful. First of all, I use this only in hip stuff. I don't use it in simple poses. I don't use it in poses that like target a single muscle. It's too much, right? Slow and steady wins the race. But here, I'm trying to make a little bit of progress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze, might be up to 45 seconds until I actually feel shaking. So I'm going like extreme yang in this case. And then I'm going to try to exhale, go way down. It's going to feel tight as hell. And I'm going to be a little too stretched. I'm going to try to hold that for a few seconds and see if I've gone too far. I might come back a little bit. So I'm just telling you what I'm going to do, because once I start doing it, you won't hear me talk. You might hear me grunt. Okay. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling in with my feet, and then I'm going to squeeze the muscles up my leg, and eventually I'm going to squeeze my core, squeeze my arms, and I'm going to be squeezed. I'm basically trying to squeeze every muscle in my body. I'm not going to, but that's the intention. I'm trying to override my nervous system just a little bit, and then go deep, and then hold it. And if I could hold it for a while, the sarcomeres are going to say, okay, we can handle this. And then you just, until you hold it as long as you can. And if you get to the point where it's okay and you can start to breathe again, it's very likely that you've actually made legitimate persistent stretching or progress. All right, don't need the timer anymore. And here we go. Oh, shit. That might be too much. Nope. Okay, I can almost hold it. There. This right here is what I'm talking about. Sometimes I can't talk. Discomfort. I can't. Now it's patience. Okay, that's enough. Oh, yeah. So that's an example of maybe a bit too extreme PNF. Whew. Yowzer. Okay, I'm gonna have. I can't use my legs right now. They'll come back online. They're almost there. I can use them now, but not too much. Okay, now they're fine, mostly. So stretch the hell out of my legs there. And it's gonna feel great. But in 2015, when I weighed 250 pounds, I could barely grasp my hands behind my back. So slow and steady, a little, plus a little, plus a little. A really acceptably, very exceptionally small definition of better. And you can start to make little changes and add up habits. And it's been 12 years and going, and I'm hoping to keep it going for, at least a few more decades. Good night. Ooh. Okay, so actually, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to shake my legs to sort of get those muscles to wake up a little bit. So again, shaking is going to balance it. These things are kind of like I've turned them off because the body was saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm saying, "It's okay." My autonomic system saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" My ottoman, sorry, my ottoman, my I'm my observer. There we go. My observer is saying, "Hey, autonomic system, it's okay." And so what happens is the nervous system says, "Okay, well, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to do it." And then it basically sort of attenuates the single signal or something like that. So what I'm doing is in the moment, I'm slowly turning down my nervous system a little bit. And in some poses, it's really cool because you come out of the pose, you're not numb, you don't have any pain, but the leg's not there. I mean, it's there, but it's not there. It's a really kind of interesting feeling. So anyway, have a good night.